Good afternoon, everybody. Man, it's so good to see so many faces in here. I'll tell you what. Some of y'all are coming home. Some of y'all are coming here for the first time. And let's open up and go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this day that we can all come together and celebrate you. Lord, we thank you for sending your one and only Son to free us from the bondage of sin. We ask that you help us unify, help us become the one body that you've asked us to be, Lord. Lord, we want to learn to celebrate our differences and learn to grow together so that we can glorify you more and more each and every day. Lord, we thank you for giving us this opportunity just to celebrate your holy name. Please bless this house. Please bless each and every person that is here in attendance. Please bless every other church in this area that shares the true and uncompromised gospel. Allow them to reach out to their communities as we strive to reach out to ours. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity, and we stand ready to work. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Amen. As I said, thank y'all for being here. It is an honor to be up here in this pulpit. Many, many great men have been up here before. And some of them are here with us today to help us celebrate. It's a big day for us. This is the first day that By His Blood Ministries is in an actual church. We have been at the Doubletree Hotel, so praise God. And it's a big day for us because we get to do two very, very special things. The first is that we're going to announce our youth pastor. It's something that we've prayed about. We've looked for the characteristics that are required biblically in a man and his wife to take charge of a ministry. And we have been blessed to find the couple that fits that bill. And I would like to announce, well, as he walks up to the front, I'd like to announce our new youth pastor, Kevin Everhart. And if you two will go over there and have a seat, what we'd like to do is I'd like to ask all the pastors and elders that are in attendance to come up to the front. We'd like to anoint them and pray over them for success, and that they're led by the Lord, please. Please come to the front. The second big thing that we get to do today is we get to break in the baptistry. Now, getting this baptistry ready was like an episode of the A-Team. I'm serious. If you're on Facebook, you can check out the ministry page, and there is literally me down there with a grinder, sparks flying, because we made a new drain for it and got it draining again. Got the heater working, so it's nice and warm. So she is going to be comfortable as she is being baptized. But this is a young lady. She moved up here, I guess, about a month and a half ago. And I'll tell you what, her family's influence on her is evident. The Holy Spirit is strong in their house. And she is just, she's on fire right now. So Will the candidate for baptism please come forward? Raven, do you turn away from Satan and all the spiritual forces of evil that rebel against God? Do you turn away from all sinful desires that draw you from fellowship with God? Do you turn to Jesus Christ? Do you intend to be a faithful follower of Christ, serving Him by obeying His word and showing His saving grace in your life? Do you promise to devote yourself to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to the prayers? Very well. Ron will show you to the back. Just a little background about me as a pastor. I didn't even know the Lord until my mid-30s. I'm actually a centered drug addict. So once I knew Jesus Christ, I wanted to know why, and I strived to learn more and more and more. And a pastor named Vic Young over at Fountain of Life saw something in me that I didn't even see myself. And gave me the opportunity to be the youth pastor to a lot of these kids out here. And it was an honor and a privilege. And the first Christian music that I ever listened to was performed by the Fountain of Life praise team. And I would consider it an honor if they would come up here and they would be the first praise team to play in this church as we move in.
Thank you, Father. The Lord reigns.
The Lord reigns. Glory.
Baptize you in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son,
Blessed you.
and in the name of the Holy Spirit. Lord, we ask that you work in her life the way that you have worked in ours. Lord, we ask that you lead her when she seems lost. We ask that you guide her whenever she needs guidance.
Amen.
We ask that we, the church, can instruct her and teach her to be a disciple. Lord, we pray that you show your mercy and your grace during times of trouble. We pray that you just be with her in all that she does. And we pray that she glorifies you with her life. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Bless you with
Isn't it a beautiful day? In God blessing. I love the way He blesses. And you know, sometimes we rake so many things. I've seen times when people had great abilities and they talk about how marvelous they were because of it. Sometimes they would stack themselves up high because of the fact that they could maybe play a great instrument or sing or whatever. But you know, the Bible has a different story. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I can remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I have my body to be burned, and have not love, it profiteth me nothing. Love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not, is charity, vaunteth not itself, but is not puffed up. Doth not behave itself unseemly, not her own, is easily provoked. Love thinketh no evil. When love is the key. When love is the key. I want you to keep a central thought in mind, and that is that of all the things that you and I can possess, of all the gifts and talents that we can have, they mean nothing without love. Without the love of God in us. I don't know about you, but I look at that passage and I think about the fact that as God shows us so many awesome and beautiful things in His Word, quite often we get on the wrong track as to what really matters. If I'm saved, I've heard people talk about, and I've heard people say things that are insane almost. God just got to get used to me like that. And I told myself, in hell? Because you're not going to heaven that way. You ain't going to make it. And one guy told me, said he just knew he was going home. I said, I know you are too. It's going to be real hot too. I said, you are going to hell. Years later, he came to me and was talking to me. He said, you know what, man? He said, you were right. I said, no, the Word is right. It's the Word of God. It's God's Word that is right. And when we're looking at the Bible, I take it at His Word. Just like if I'm preparing for a Sunday sermon or at any other time, and God changes it, He changes it. Now go ahead and do what He wants because He's God. Love is important. Love will cause you to care for others who can get on your last nerve, as my friend of mine said. But you'll still love. You'll still love. Love will cause you to look at someone that you know can't stand you, would be happy to be at your funeral, and watch your body go down on the ground. You can look at them and say, it's nice seeing you, but I love you, take care. But see, the old devil in them tells them, what's he trying to set me up for? Nothing. Nothing. It's just the fact that we can't be both at the same time. We're either going to be a child of God, which makes us love everybody, or we're going to be a hypocrite. And worse than that is to be a sinner. Too often we find ourselves saying things and then just going along and say, well, that ain't nothing, that's so bad. I understand how to feel. You don't understand. You are not God. You know, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. We put ourselves in His shoes. We are not gods. We are sons and daughters of His that He uses to His glory, but we are not a God. The devil is not a God. Some people treat him like he is. No, he's a fallen angel. But you know the good thing about it that keeps my soul on fire is the fact that I know when I met Him. I know when I was saved. And I'll never, anytime I go to a pulpit, I'm not going to say anything God says don't say or fail to say what He does. Because it's God's pulpit, it's not mine. It's God's. He wants us saved. In spite of all the things around us, He wants us saved. He wants us to understand the fact that we are His sons and daughters, and He is going to take us home to heaven when we leave this world. That we're going to be there not just sometime, but we're going to be there all the time. Not It's a full-time glory. I'm so glad. I don't know about you children, but I'm so glad that this God I serve loves me. I'm so glad that in the midst of all of it, I can call on Him early in the morning, late at night, midnight, doesn't matter. When I cry out, God, He's yes. And He'll tell me what I need to know. If I don't need this particular thing that I'm talking about, He tells me that I don't. You might say, oh, you're just delusionary. I'm going to be delusionary all the way to heaven then. Because God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Jesus, that God speaks to His children.
Amen.
He calls us.
Yes.
And I tell you, there's another thing too that we got to work on a whole lot. People got to stop lying on Him. Really, they got to stop lying on Him. Tell the truth. Some people want to be preachers and they say God told them, and He had nothing to do. If He wasn't God, He wouldn't have known nothing about you at all. Ministry is a challenge. It is not some easy thing that you do. It's tough, it's hard. But when God chooses you for it, it's a whole different world. Because you're doing it to His glory and He's blessing you for doing it. He is strengthening you. But you still have some dark times. You still have some lonely times. You have some trying times. But you know the thing that means so much to me is God is with me. No matter what happens, God, this God that we serve is with me. I can call on Him, He'll answer. Get mixed up, He'll straighten me out. Because God is with me in spite of it all. You know, sometimes people say, well, you know how this whole world is? I'm thinking about the other one. And sometimes you find, and I have nothing against you, when people say they want to try to figure out when Jesus is coming. You know what? I just want to be ready. That's what I want. I don't have to know that. Because the child of God, I ought to be ready all the time. I ought to be holding up, lifting up Jesus all the time because we belong to Him. You ought to be that way. But I'm not going to be sitting around talking about, let's see what if this happens. I don't even worry about that. Because when you want to go home, and God has you on a homeward bound path, what you dealing with? What's the point? But know this that the same God, the God who saved you, is the God who will keep you. And when He does it, you'll be amazed at how wonderful you'll feel. And it does, as I said, it doesn't mean times ain't tough. They get that way sometimes. But you know, when I think sometimes when people say, well, you know, I tried this and I tried that, and they cried and they've almost lost it completely as far as their mentality. But then all of a sudden you see them and they look like they never had a sick day in their lives or anything else. That's because they belonged to Him and they understood when they drifted that right now it's time for them to go back home. Love is everything. We realize that no matter what happens in life, all the challenges that we have, this God that we serve will bless us. Won't He? Has He ever blessed you? Yeah, has He blessed you? He has, hasn't He? You ever had times when you were sick and the doctors weren't lying? They were good doctors. They said you may not make it, and that was the last sick day you had on that one because God just healed you. See, I believe in divine healing. Anybody else can think what they want. I've experienced it a lot of times too. But I believe in it. I believe that God, everything good in my life, your life, anybody else's life is because of Him. Every good thing. The challenging times that you have, it is still going to be good. It's going to be good. And when you find yourself calling out to Him, and you start saying, Lord, have mercy. You find yourself saying, if I could just make it, and sometimes you, in a little chord or two hits you about how if I can just make it home. If I can just make it, and you know something though, He gives you assurance that you can. Now it doesn't matter what anybody else says, God gives you that assurance. And when God gives you that assurance, you know it is. You can go through all kinds of trying times. You can be struggling in all kinds of ways. But this God that we serve will tell you, okay, turn around for a moment. And you're on the wrong track. You have good intentions. But that's not going to get you. I often think about the fellow who wrote a book on that. Only he said the road to hell was filled. with good intentions. What we ought to be is His children. His children. Have you ever had anybody make fun of you when you talk about how much God means to you? They used to be very bold, and they don't do it that way now. What they do is they just kind of get a little smirk on the face. I don't really care. Because when He says, "Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of this world," nothing else matters. Nothing in this world really matters. And we find that love is patient. How much patience do some of us don't have very much, but some of us do. But love is patient. And that love is from God. And when that time comes that you find yourself enjoying yourself even more in church and every other activity that you're doing and everything that you're doing, especially that's going to glorify Him, you'll get a joy like nobody else can have. I just want to take a couple more minutes of your time and say that every now and then, every time you call, you know that God is listening to you. Yes. And you hear Him. I've had unique things happen sometimes. And I never forget, one day I was driving along and the Lord told me the street I was on, He told me to go over 2 blocks. I'm probably thinking, oh sure, donkeys fly. No, they don't. He said 2 blocks. I went over the 2 blocks, went down about 3, and He led me to pull into a parking lot of church. Another person pulled in just less than a minute later. And I said, "Hi, how you doing?" They said, "Oh, just fine." And, "How are you?" I said, "Just fine." And I began talking to them, and they began talking, especially, and because we're going through so many difficulties. And you know what God did? God spoke through me. I'm not a God. God spoke through me and blessed that person. Bless that person. Every time we run into each other, it comes out. The person says, "I really never forget." I said, "Okay, then here's what you do. Don't be trying to glorify me. Tell God how much you appreciate what He did that day. He picked you up. You were down in the dumps and God picked you up. Now when you get ready to step over into glory, oh, the joy. Joy, joy, joy. Oh, the peace that you have. Power like you cannot believe. And then suddenly you look around and you realize, my God shall supply. Doesn't matter about anybody else. It's God. It's God upon whom we depend. No matter what it is. Sometimes you're crying and you don't know why. You've lost a loved one or whatever. But God dries your tears. And when He dries your tears, you can't hardly stand it. It's such a joy. It's fantastic. You get so filled with joy. Have you ever had those times when you struggled and struggled and struggled, and then all of a sudden God just went, no. He took that pain.
Come on, brother.
He took all that pain.
Come on.
And you still don't have it. God took care of it. You still don't. One writer said, "Be not." And I often think about it. It's so beautiful. He said, "Be not dismayed, whatever betide. God will take care of you. Beneath His wings of love abide, God will take care of you. God will take care of you. You know, through every day or all the way, He'll take care of you. God.
Yes, He will.
God will take care of you. Be not dismayed, whatever betide. God will take care of you. Peace is wings of love abide. God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day. Oh, He will take care of you.
Yes.
What a blessing Reverend Charlton has been to us. I didn't know he was going to lead, but when after I got ordained and moved on, we were looking for a church until we could establish the church that the Lord wanted us to establish. And Reverend Charlton's church was the one. And one of the things that we want to model this church after is the kindness and the love that his church showed us. Every single one of his congregation came up and greeted us, introduced themselves, wanted to know who we were, and wanted to be a part of our lives. Every single one of his deacons and elders stood at the doorway and greeted us as we came in and said, "Thank you for being here," as we left. And the first time that we went into that church, we felt like family. And we are family. We're brothers and sisters. And he's done such a great job in this community for so many years. It is just a true honor to have him here today, and I just want to thank him again for being here. Thank you, Reverend Charles. Thank you. Now it's time for a little bit more praise and worship, if y'all are okay with that. And we're going to bring up Aaron Hagee and company. And they're going to share their musical talents with us. Come on, that's it. Make a little bit of noise for the Lord. Let me hear you. Come on. Bless you, Jesus. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Come on, if you know what, say it. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Come on, people from every nation and tongue, from generation to generation, we worship you. Say hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you, who you are. We worship, hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you, who you are. You are good. Come on, praise him like he's been good to you. I bet if you want to get out of your seat and dance, that'll be all right too. Come on, you know what? Say it. Lord, you are. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Come on, let me hear you. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth. Come on, you get there. Lord, you are good. Say it. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Glory to God. Say people from every nation and time.
God. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Yes, God. I won't be long, I promise. But how many of you know, if I was to pass this microphone around, everybody in here can tell me something that God's done for them? Amen? Is there anybody here He saved you? Would you raise your hand? Has He delivered anybody in here? Raise your hand. Has He broken chains in your life? Raise your hand. Has He delivered you from alcohol, drugs, pornography, envy, strife? Most important, He's delivered me from myself. I don't know about you, but He had to reach way down. Like, I mean way down. To get a hold of me. And I can never thank Him enough for all He's done. He's seen me through so much. And when I start thinking about it, I just can't stop praising Him. I know where I would probably be right now if the Savior hadn't reached down for me. I don't want to think about where I'd be anymore. I don't want to walk around the block without Him. He's just been good to me. If He's been good to you, please feel free to jump in and worship with me. You're not going to scare me. You can get on your feet, dance, run all around this place. I'll probably be right behind you. When I think about the Lord, I saved me, raised me, fill me with the Holy Ghost, fill me to the uttermost. When I think about the Lord, I see it on your face, all right? Turn me around, place my feet on solid ground. You know what it said? Makes me wanna shout. Come on. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Lord, you're worthy. Oh, all of the honor and the praise. Makes me wanna shout. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Lord, you're worthy of all the
Bless you, Jesus. Hallelujah.
Thank you for being a blessing. Thank you, thank you. We thank all of y'all for being here. I know it's a little warm. We're working on that. We're working on that. But one thing that we have to remember is that God is the ultimate healer. There's not a problem that we have. There's not an ailment that can take hold of us that Jesus Christ cannot remove from our lives. It's when we doubt. It's when we rely on ourselves that we backslide and we fall. So if there is something that's ailing you, there is something that's bothering you, don't just bring it to us. Bring it to the Lord.
Yes, hallelujah.
The moment you hand it over is the moment that it will go away. Some of us are made to suffer a little bit longer than others, but that gives us a testimony. So many times we forget about our testimony. People can doubt everything that you say when it comes to Scripture. If they're not a believer, they're not going to believe in the Scripture. But your testimony, they can't take that away from you. Not only let God work for you, but after He works for you, you go work for God. You share every single thing that He has done, and you let people know. You are God's billboard. You are the reflection of Jesus Christ. So if you're out there doing what you're not supposed to be doing, and you come back and you say, I am a Christian, and you're coming to church every Sunday, what kind of image does the world have of Jesus Christ? It's just important that we remember that. It's important that we understand that. And everyone here, I just want you to know, once again, we consider you family. And speaking of family, the next young man that I want to bring up here he's going to grace us with a couple of songs. But when I was at my worst, at my lowest, at my deepest point of depravity, he told me that I was, well, he used some different terminology, but he told me I was a jerk. He told me I needed to find the Lord, and I didn't listen to him. Not at all, but here we are about 10 years later, and I'm pastoring a church. God can do it. This is not my pulpit. This is the Lord's pulpit. And I understand that. And I understand that if I ever turn away or I look away or I don't rely on Him each and every day, I'm going to wind up right where I was. So I thank you, Brother Chris Plaster, for telling me that I was a jerk. And I thank you for being here today on this special moment. Ladies and gentlemen, James Christopher Plaster.
I'm sure you also know anytime you want to step out and do anything for the Lord, the devil's going to fight you. Every time. So Scott asked me to get your praise band together and come on down for our first service in our church. And of course, I never told Scott no. Well, I did back in the old days, but that's a different thing. But as we approached, I texted my drummer and he said, I can't do it, buddy. I got to be somewhere else. It's okay. So this week, my guitarist, you're going to see I'm not a guitarist, told me, he said, well, without a drummer, me up there playing leads is just going to sound stupid, so I'm going to set this one out. Okay? Okay. So then my little sister, who sings harmony and plays keyboard this morning, told me that, well, my kids are sick, I'm not going to be able to make it. So I thought, okay, I guess it's just me. And then I showed up to my home church, and faithful Sister Kalia said, are we still going up to Johnson City? I said, I guess we are. But after I saw all and I tell you what, man, all the amazing talent that God has put in this church today for this service, man. I tell you, talk about being blessed. It has been amazing. And the word that's already been brought forward, man, it makes me excited to be a child of the King, man. It really does.
Yes, sir. Hallelujah.
But it also made me want to get up and get out of here, me and my acoustic guitar. I kept telling the Lord, I said, Lord, if you want me to leave, just give me a sign. Scott will get me my guitar back. These are good people. I can trust them. But I'll tell you what. This song speaks to my heart. She like, oh, like she was a strong.
How long is this gonna last? Then you say to this prison, you say to me, son, stop fighting the fight that's already been won. And I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains, wipe away every stain. I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed.
Yes, hallelujah. Glory.
All my life I've called the word. Led by the voice of my shame and regret.
Come on, brother, sing.
Then I hear you whisper, child, lift up your head. I remember, oh God, how good you did. And I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains, wipe away every sin. I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed. Yes, I don't have to be the old man inside of me, 'cause his days long and gone. I got a new name, a new life. I'm not the same, but I hope God will carry me on. And I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake all these heavy chains, wipe away every shame. I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains, wipe away every shame. I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed. In times of sorrow, feeling lost and alone, fighting against it, fighting on your own. But the fight is not yours. You have help in the frail. Give it all to Jesus. Let him take it away. Give it all to Jesus. Oh, nothing else. He will sustain and keep us. Give it all to him. He holds the answer. He is the key. Give it all to Jesus. Give it all and be free. We can come to the throne room. We'll find him there. He'll bear our worries. He'll take our cares. Bearing our sins, our sickness, our shame. Give it all to Jesus. Just call out his name. Give it all to Jesus. Oh, nothing else. He will sustain.
if I could explain what a blessing that they have been in my life, I'll tell you what, the first church that I ever spoke in, other than Fountain of Life, was his dad's church. So I kind of cut my teeth there. Felt a little freer there because no one knew me. I know I could get away pretty quick. But I'm just so glad once again to see all of y'all here today. This has been a long time coming. Not a long time in the whole scheme of things, but a long time in people years. 3 years ago, the Lord laid it on my heart that we were to open a church in this area. And I didn't understand why or how. I kept asking, how? How? You've seen our bank account. How are we going to do this? And he said, shh, be quiet. So we listened. And we were ready to pull the trigger on another building somewhere else. And that deal fell through. We had prayed for it to fall through. We had said, Lord, if this isn't the place that we're supposed to be, if we're really supposed to be down here in this area, put every stumbling block in the way. And he sure did. He sure did. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. If you would please turn in your Bibles to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Starting with verse 12. For as the body is one and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we are baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, whether we have all made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. The foot shall say, but I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is therefore not of the body. And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, it is therefore not of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now hath God set the members, every one of them, in the body, as it hath pleased Him. We come here together to celebrate. Not just celebrate the fact that we're the same. We're here to celebrate the fact that we're different. And we've got one thing in common. And that's Jesus Christ. The church has divided itself. People told Martin Luther that was going to happen. There was a time when people came to church and the Bibles were chained to the pews and the people didn't even speak Latin, which is the only language that the Bible was written in. It was all ritual. It was up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But then Martin Luther came up with this crazy idea that every man is his own priest. And he translated the Bible so that we can all have it. And we all realized that Jesus Christ was our personal Savior. We were able to realize the things that He did for us. We were able to read Scripture. We were able to see the beauty of what He had done. Now, I believe that there is a place for denominations. That's where we get our doctrine. That's where we get our shape. That's where we get our form. That's where we get our structure. That's where we get... That's how we learn to walk. That's where we get our legs. But once we get our legs, there's no reason that we should stay divided. We should be able to work together in one community as diverse individuals united by Christ. So many times, and we realized this last week, we were handing out flyers speaking about this event. And we'd say that we were going to have Reverend so-and-so, Pastor so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so. And they'd say, I go to so-and-so's church. That doesn't matter. We're all one body. All of our individual churches make up the church. It's not until we become one body of Christ that we are going to be able to do anything and defeat the world. We become victims of our own doing. We've allowed things like race, social status, politics, different beliefs on sexuality. We got to keep it biblical. Keep it biblical. And we can't say that just because me and you don't see eye to eye on one issue, that we can't work together. I just baptized a young lady, and we dipped backwards instead of forwards. I didn't sprinkle. You know how many fights I've seen over that? But what was she doing? She was professing our Lord and Savior before each and every one of you, and we should celebrate that no matter how we did it. There's no reason that we should not stand up as one body against the things that are happening in the world right now. The separation of the secular and the sacred has disappeared. We look at what's being taught in the schools. We look at, it horrifies you sometimes to turn on the news. Why can we not unify? Why can we not work together? What is it that does not allow us to do it other than ourselves? Because God's Word tells us that He wants us to work together. God's Word tells us that He wants us to defeat the world together. I cannot use and be good, be successful with the spiritual gifts that the Lord has blessed me with unless I have His spiritual gifts to go with it. And we can't be successful as a team of two unless we have His spiritual gifts to go with us. And then we need her spiritual gifts and we need your spiritual gifts. We cannot do it without each other. God has made this puzzle that can come together and we can defeat all of these things, but we refuse to do it. You look back through history, it's no different than the Israelites. The Israelites were given chance after chance after chance. And their heart condition kept them away from the Lord. So what is keeping us from unifying like the Lord wants us to? We can blame it all on the devil. I'll tell you, the devil didn't want us to get together today. I mean, my goodness. As of 9 o'clock this morning, we didn't have drums, a bass amp, or microphones. But the Lord worked it out. The Lord came through for us. He's like, the devil's not going to cause this to not happen. Because it's important. It's important that the young men and women in our community see us working together. They're the future of our church. If they see that we can't work together, how are they going to work together in the future? It's unity and diversity. Diverse in what we are, unified in Jesus Christ. Simple message. Simple, simple, simple message. And I wanted to just put that message out there because my desire, and I pray that some of y'all's desires, because I know not everyone feels the same way all the time, but I pray that some of y'all want to work together. And I'll tell you that the doors are always open here. I know and I understand that everyone has a home church, and that's where you get fed. And these pastors, they are more than capable to feed. They're wonderful, wonderful men of God. They're trained up, and they can prepare you for the fight. But we're here to fight with you. Anytime, any place, just call. We should pray together. We should do things in the community together. We should be seen together. We should celebrate together.
Amen.
We should celebrate our Lord and Savior together more often. We'll do it again. I promise you here, we'll do it again, and we will have air conditioning. But we will do it again. Y'all are not guests here. Y'all are family here. We welcome you. We will continue to pray for you. we will continue to desire to serve with you. And I wanted to keep my message short. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, once again we come to you and thank you for this day, Lord. Lord, we thank you for making each and every one of us different. We thank you for our individuality. We thank you for the gifts that you have given us that we can use to glorify you. And Lord, we ask that you create a path. You show us how we can work together. Show us how we can get over these little individual speed bumps and how we can come together as one group and we can make the changes that you want. We ask that our nation's eyes turn to you during this time of strife and trouble. We ask that the world turns its eyes to you during this time of strife and trouble. And we ask that you give us the ability, the courage, the understanding to work together, to reach out to those that don't know you and plant those seeds of salvation so that the Holy Spirit may do his work. Lord, we thank you for filling this place with the Holy Spirit and allowing us to worship and praise you together. And Lord, we just humbly thank you for the salvation that you gave us, knowing what we really are. We thank you, we praise you. You are our hero, you are our Savior, you are our best friend. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Saints of God,
Blessings.
if y'all believe what you just heard and what some of you were singing, that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we could ask to think, I want you to get up on your feet and come on and help us magnify the Lord. We didn't come here to entertain. We come here to magnify the Lord.
There we go.
Now this next song is this. Let's get down and pray. See, every now and then, when your pastor's unavailable, your deacon and the clergy's not available, your Christian brother and sister's not around, every now and then, you just need to go in your prayer closet, get down on your knees, and pray. Hey!
shielding wings. See, I come to tell you, it's where the shielding wings. See, I come to tell you, yes, I come to tell you, it's where the shielding
Amen. I'm only going to be here for just a moment. I'm a church guy. I'm a church planter. We share this in common. And of course, Dr. Charlton was here before I was. And in this church planting business, there is a lot of work to be done. Everybody hear me okay? Okay. A lot of work to be done. You can't hear me? You can't hear me. Is it?
I went 2 of my minutes. I'm going to take us back to another building program, Chronicles, First Chronicles. And I'm just going to read verse 14. And the last words of verse 14 are what we will concentrate on. Indeed, I have taken much trouble to prepare for the house of the Lord. Somebody say amen. Amen. 100,000 talents of gold, and 1,000,000 talents of silver, and bronze and iron beyond measure. For it is so abundant. I have prepared timber and stone also, and you, and this is all that he has done. This is all the king has done with regards to a place for the Lord to be worshipped. And when he gets through saying what all he's added, he says, and you may add to them. What has already been done from Calvary until today has already been done. We don't go back and redo that.
Right.
But we can add to it.
Amen.
Every act of love,
Come on, brother.
every time you witness to a lost person, you're adding to that which has already been done. And if you'll notice what he used, I mean, 100,000 talents of gold. I don't have any gold. 1,000,000 talents of silver. I don't have any silver. Of bronze and iron beyond measure, for it was so abundant. He says, I have prepared timber and stone also, and you may add to them. All the expense, if we move from the Old Testament to the New Testament, Christ Jesus has paid it all.
Amen. That's right.
When he hung on Calvary's cross, he purchased the church with his blood.
Come on, say it.
And now I can add to it. What do I have to add? Faith, love,
Yes.
obedience.
Yes.
What do I have to add? Being a witness, sharing the gospel. What do I have to add to it? Just let somebody see Jesus in me. Now, I know that ain't good, because I'm not handsome. But see, we done got away from the gold and the silver and the bronze and the timber and all that. Now we're just right down to where the rubber meets the road.
All right.
How can I add to it?
By speaking kind. How can I add to it? By lifting someone from the ditch. How can I add to all that? By letting God live through me, through my voice, through my testimony. And how can you do the same? How can we add to it? He'll tell you what to do. Everybody's not going to be a church planter. That's what he told us to do. Everybody's not going to be a doctor of theology like Reverend Charlton. That's what he told him to do. But whatever he tells you to do for Christ, and only what's done for Christ will count. You do it, and you're adding to that which has already been done. Give God a hand clap. I'm hot.
We've reached the end of service today. I'm almost heartbroken because I've had so much fun. I want to thank everyone that was here. I'd like to thank Reverend Charlton for being here. I'd like to thank Reverend Whibley for being here. I want to thank y'all for being here. I want to thank the Holy Spirit for being here.
Amen.
As we close in prayer, I'm going to ask a simple question. And anyone who wants to respond to that question, please come to the front. And we'll have someone here to pray for you. And if y'all don't mind, after I say this final prayer, if you just play just a little something, little melody or something. They're good. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us all together, Lord. Lord, we thank you for the love that you have for us. We thank you for you being the only source of unconditional love. We thank you for the lessons that we learn from those that have come before us. We ask that we are allowed to use those lessons to glorify you. Lord, we ask that we are the reflections of Christ that you have designed us to be. We ask that we're allowed to share ourselves so that people can see you. We ask that we are allowed to plant those seeds of salvation that they may grow. And Lord, today we ask if there is anyone here that does not know you, they say this prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, come into my heart and save me. Fill me with the Holy Spirit till I overflow. Lord, I thank you for sending your one and only Son to die on the cross at Calvary for my sins, and to rise on the third day to give me a new life and to ascend into heaven to sit on your right side. Lord, I give myself to you completely, my heart, my soul, my mind, and my body. And Lord, I thank you for saving me. If you said that prayer today, please come to the front and let us pray with you. Again, we thank you all for being here today. And Lord, we just pray that you be with each and every individual here. Protect them and watch over them as they're going out and coming in. We thank you for this opportunity to worship together. We thank you for your love, your grace, and your mercy. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Thank you all.